Hi, I'm Yvonne from Yvonne and Richard's wedding videos. This is Richard. Don't wave. We've decided to do a branching out of our empire, I would say. We've had upwards of 7 clients since the last video. So we thought, well, we'll branch out, and we're doing a tips for newlywed couples, how to have a happy marriage.
How to have a marriage.
We've discussed if you talk in the beginning of the video, people won't watch the rest, will they, Richard? Will they?
No.
So you, the lucky new Mr. and Mrs., your family and friends have clubbed together and decided to spring for this personalised video on tips on how to be happy in your newly wedded bliss. So this is for you,
Billy and Neasa,
on your wedding day.
Do we speak now?
We'll have to do the whole thing again if he's going to talk. Tip number 1. Always have a lovely, clean, hygienic household for your happy husband to come home from after his hunter-gathering. I think it's broken. Will you just add the sound effect?
Yeah.
It's normally Margaret does this, of course.
I'm done.
She said she'd leave instructions and she hasn't left anything. She said it was self-explanatory.
Tip number 2. It's very wise to gain DIY skills around the house because you never know when they will be called upon. Take this for example. Looks like a stick. However, now it is a coat and hat stand for your personal needs such as scarves and headwear.
Yes, another exemplary example of your DIY skills, Richard. And tell me, are you planning on doing the entire video with your shirt untucked? No, forget it. Forget it.
DIY sort of occurs more often than not in this house.
No, I have a headache. No, don't even think about it, Richard. Well, you promised me that you would look up the tips. You said you would have a list here ready for me. It's ridiculous. Camera crew here. Right, here's one. Look, this is fine. No, this is fine. You'll have to cut this. You have to be ready. Research consistently shows that touching more creates a stronger bond by releasing oxytocin. Cut! Tip 4. When giving each other gifts, and you should do, gents, regularly, always remember it's the thought that counts, not the monetary value.
Got you a gift.
Oh! Well, I'll no other choice but to look some of these up. This was Richard's job, of course. He didn't do any of the research I asked him to do. We could have written one of these easy. Listen to some of these. For men, it's important to understand that women want to be listened to. The biggest waste of effort in a marriage is trying to change your spouse. Fair is not a 4-letter word. Yes, it is. Sometimes we think it's fun to make a list of 3 of the happiest moments you've had since your marriage. Because this is all about group fun and joining in, Richard and I decided we'd write lists of our 3 happiest moments in our marriage. Moment 1, for me personally, was of course my wedding day. Many people have said to me that we should have documented more on our wedding day, a DIY if you like, because our wedding day was better than anyone else's. The moment that sticks out most in my mind was the looks of envy from women I went to school with when I turned around in my fabulous Yves Saint Laurent dress. And, you know, it's moments like that. Envy's important. Moment 2 would definitely have to be when Richard first bought me flowers. That was a nice moment. I texted him earlier telling him that he wasn't to come home that night as he'd done something atrocious. It slips my mind now what. And I suggested flowers on the way home to start building a path to forgiveness. He bought me roses. Moment 3 would probably be when I hired Margaret, our cleaning lady.
The stag was good.
Tip 6. Don't forget, girls, you're entitled to the occasional bad mood. Fuck off, Richard! Healthy. We hope you've enjoyed this whistle-stop tour of wedded bliss. And we hope that you too can find your way to marriage, completeness and happiness. So from me, Yvonne, and Richard, we wish you a wonderful, happy life together.